They aren't just cruel, they aren't just ideological, they're fundamentally incompetent. You ever notice how every time Kemi Badenoch opens her mouth about the economy, the words sound confident, but the actual sentences don't connect to anything that resembles reality? You're being lectured about fiscal responsibility by people who literally do not understand the mechanics of the tax system that they want to control. Kemi Badenoch is the leader of the opposition. Her job is to scrutinise the budget. But I've just spent the last 48 hours listening to her interviews, and I've realised something pretty terrifying. Now, I'm no financial expert, but I imagine both me and you and both of us and all of us know the difference between a tax on petrol and a parking ticket. Kemi Badenoch, not so much. This isn't a difference of opinion, this is a technical illiteracy, and it's probably going to cost you money. Stay watching, I'm going to play you a clip that proves that she thinks illegal wages are a taxable income. I've been going through the interviews of Kemi Badenoch's response to Rachel Reeves' latest budget. The headlines are all about her demanding resignations. The Tories really don't like Rachel Reeves as Chancellor and have been trying to get her to resign from day one. Okay, fine, that's politics. But when you strip away the shouting and look at the actual sentences that are leaving her mouth, the logic disintegrates. Let's start with the most bizarre moment from her LBC interview. She's talking about rural voters and the way that they are angry. Listen to this.
I will have constituents who have gone and bought an electric vehicle because they maybe had a subsidy from the previous government. They live in a rural area and they don't think that they have to pay fuel duty.
I want you to think about the last time you filled up your car. Did you get to the till and have a debate about whether you felt like paying the duty? Did you opt out? I don't think so. Because fuel duty is an exercise tax. It's baked into the price of the liquid. You cannot buy the petrol without paying the tax. She's confusing fuel duty, a national tax on energy, with something like ULEZ or congestion charges. She thinks that rural people are mad because they suddenly have to pay for a fee to drive. She doesn't understand that fuel duty is a consumption tax, not a zonal charge. If the woman who wants to run the country doesn't know the difference between the pump price and a driving fine, we're going to be in deep trouble. But it gets worse. She moves on to farmers. She wants to paint a picture of a struggling working class being fleeced by Labour, a noble goal. But when she says this,
Go and look at the farmers, for instance. We're taxing farmers, many of whom are getting less than the minimum wage to pay for benefits.
taxing farmers who are getting less than the minimum wage? Kemi, if they're getting paid less than the minimum wage, that's not a tax bracket. That's a crime. That's illegal. And if she means self-employed farmers whose profits are so low they equate to less than the minimum wage, well then guess what? They fall below the personal allowance. They don't pay income tax. You cannot tax a wage that doesn't exist. She's trying to tell you that the poorest people are bankrolling the welfare state. I mean, come on, it's a powerful story. It makes you angry, but it's also mathematically impossible. The people paying for the welfare state are the ones in the 40% tax bracket, not the guy earning £4 an hour illegally. She's building an entire economic argument on a fantasy tax code that exists only in her head. Take her interview with Laura Kuenssberg on Sunday. She was asked a very simple question about the Chancellor's budget, and what came out was a stream of contradictions. First, she claims Rachel Reeves called an emergency press conference because the finances were terrible. Never happened. It was a routine briefing because details leaked. But okay, fine, let's roll with her version of events. Then she says the OBR told Reeves the complete opposite. Impossible. The OBR cannot tell Chancellor anything privately. It's, again, literally illegal. The whole point of the OBR is that their forecasts are public, non-political and independent. They don't slip the Chancellor a note saying, "Psst, worry, love, it's all going to be fine." So we're already in nonsense territory. But then it gets worse. She claims Reeves is raising taxes to pay for welfare.
On the way into the budget, were you satisfied with her explanations?
Absolutely not. The Chancellor called an emergency press conference telling everyone about how terrible the state of the finances were. And now we have seen that the OBR had told her the complete opposite. She was raising taxes to pay for welfare. The only thing that was unfunded was the welfare payments which she has made, and she's doing it on the backs of a lot of people out there who are working very hard and getting poorer. And because of that, I believe she should resign.
Again, that's not how taxation works. It's not how the Treasury works. It's not how modern day government works. We don't tax farmers to pay for benefits. We don't tax the landlords to pay for potholes. And we don't tax nurses to pay for nuclear submarines. Everything goes into a pot. Everything comes out of one pot. Badenoch talks about taxation like it's a GoFundMe page. Then she pivots in the same breath to say the only unfunded part of the budget is welfare. So it's unfunded, but also fully funded by tax rises. Which one is it? But the most dangerous thing is that it isn't a mistake. It's manipulation. You hear her constantly say the government must live within its means.
This is about making sure that we can live within our means. The government is not living within its means. It's squeezing more and more people. That is the budget that Rachel Reeves has given out. And she has done it off the backs of a lot of people who are struggling. We can't afford it. Government has to live within its means.
Live within our means. Sounds sensible, doesn't it? I mean, it sounds like your mum telling you not to put the new iPhone on a credit card. But the country is not a household. When the household cuts back on spending, they stop buying shiny treats. They cancel Sky Sports or they eat out less. The family survives, just with fewer luxuries. But when a government cuts back on spending, they aren't cancelling luxuries. They're cancelling hip replacements. They're cancelling trains that you take to work. They're cancelling teaching assistants for your autistic child. Kemi Badenoch wants you to think living within our means is about being frugal. It isn't. It's about deciding who suffers. And notice interviewers never seem to ask what she would cut to balance this household budget. Does she say that she'll cut the roads or the police or the army? No, she retreats to the one safe word that she knows: welfare. She waves the word welfare around like it's a magic wand that will solve all the national debt. But look at the breakdown. The vast majority of welfare bill is the state pension, which she won't touch, and disability payments for the long-term sick. So when she says live within our means, what she actually means is we're going to take money away from sick people so the numbers on my spreadsheet look a bit neater. She's not offering to sell the family car. She's offering to stop feeding the grandma. And the media lets her get away with it because living within your means sounds so nice and responsible on a Sunday morning talk show. She wants you to believe that schools, hospitals, prisons, and defence were all fully funded and perfect when she left office. She wants you to believe the only reason your taxes went up is because Rachel Reeves wanted to give an extra 20 quid to a family with 3 kids. It's a lie, but it's not a clever lie. It's a lazy one. It relies you on not being able to do subtraction. This matters. It matters because we need a functional opposition. We need someone who can look at the spreadsheet and find the actual holes, not someone who hallucinates taxes that don't exist. And she doesn't understand the basics. How can she hold the Chancellor to account? At some point, we have to stop pretending these interviews are balanced debates. They're not. They're one person speaking in riddles with absolute certainty and zero economic coherence. And the political press too timid to say, this doesn't make sense. Can you explain it? She never can. Because the moment you remove the slogans, there's nothing underneath.